Let me start off the day by doing my first no 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 video, uh, where I'm going to try over the next while to try some techniques to stop myself from saying the word all the time, and also to become more mindful of the other filler words that I use in sentences. Think this is probably going to mean my speech might be a little bit more stilted going forward. I might slow down in how quickly I speak, which is fine, I think. Let's let me go through some of the various techniques that get that I've that I've gathered going forward. But first, let me just say I don't want to get myself I don't want to get myself so revved up. I'm sort of doing this prompted by some what was nasty remarks. It was someone who was trying to get my goat, but I decided to take that comments, take those comments and use them use them for good, to improve myself, to improve my speech, to improve my presentation. And one of those ways is you see, it's going to be a difficult. It's going to be difficult, and it's not going to be perfect. I take heart from the fact that I watch other people on BookTube, on YouTube in general, who still there's the odd and ah in their speech, but it doesn't make it unlistenable. There is a certain threshold though, and I probably have crossed that threshold in my speech. So I'm going to try and lower it. That's not going to be ever going to be perfect. No one's ever perfect. But if I can become more mindful of my speech and develop better habits, that's a great thing. That is a really good thing. That's a positive way to use negative comments. So let me outline some of the ways that I'm going to do this. I decided to do this again in this official no video because I think it's something I want to report on. It's going to be a little folder of no ums. This was number one, so I figured I'd start off here. So yes, I one of my old reviews that had the comments turned on had some naggy comment of, "Boy, you sure say a lot," and then a little while later, "Oh, you haven't responded. I guess I got your goat." And then multiple little icons of glee from this particular troll. There's something where someone will make a comment to try and be helpful. You know, we'll give you feedback, and then there's stuff where they're trying to shut you down. They're trying to kind of intimidate you in a way, saying, "Boy, do you notice how much you do this? Doesn't it drive you crazy now that now that I pointed it out for you? Aren't I going to stop you from actually doing anything?" That's at least that's what I am taking. I can take from it. Maybe not unreasonably in this case, because there was that follow-up comment of, "Don't you notice it now?" But what I've decided to do is take that as a, hey, let's try and get this thing under control. Let's try and improve. I was looking for things to improve in 2022. Thank you, Mr. Troll. I'll take your dig and go for try to make a better, try to give my presentation a better polish. So what I did was, as I looked at a variety of videos that, just basically the top videos on how to stop saying and what I found were about 11 or 12, 13 little tips, which I figured I would start off with, and we'll see how that works. I might do more research into, I'll probably will do more research into it, but it's a very good starting point. And I've made a little made a little sign for myself of no no ahs, like, basically that sort of verbiage that definitely litters my presentations, my not presentations, my videos, me yakking. But I'd like to yak in a more entertaining and listenable way. So, number one for a suggestion was close your mouth tight at the end of sentences for a couple of days. I think I can do that. It's going to look kind of odd, so forgive these behind the scene. This is the good thing of having a private reader channel, is that I can practice. And I look like a complete ass, but it's something that I'm just doing for myself. That way, I'm not going to, in a publicly released video in my public channel, I'm not going to release videos of me going, end sentence. Number two, become comfortable with silence, which, having that pause there was uncomfortable for me. So that's something to definitely work on. That being comfortable with pauses in your speech. I mean, I don't want my speech to become broken up all the time, but I'm hoping to deliver full thoughts and then let the listener be able to think about that, and to give myself time to come up with my next thought. Number three, record and listen to yourself speaking. All I do is record myself. Oftentimes, I don't actually listen to myself afterwards because I find that so painful. There may be a reason for that. So, going forward, I'm going to try and make an effort of not only recording myself, but to stop and listen to myself. And actually, it was interesting. Last night, I did my two coming home videos, my videos that I make in the backyard as I'm letting the dogs out. One was a dark episode, which was talking all about this stuff, where I was very conscious of it. But the video I did before that was talking about Louise Erdrich's A Future Home of the Living God, where I did all the ums and ahs in the sentences. It's funny. I started off with that video, so I wasn't particularly thinking about. I'd already kind of lost what I'd been talking about in the afternoon, about the afternoon or the day before, about the ums and ahs, and I just sort of launched into this video, not mindful of working on the ums and ahs. And yeah, I just, not surprisingly, I fell back into that pattern. So I'm going to make an effort going forward to actually listen to those videos. Those videos are probably a good one to do it with, where I'm semi-relaxed, I'm sitting in the backyard, and I'm trying to think about the book that I've just read, the section of the book I've just read, and I'm liable to be, I'm not prepared, I'm just talking off the top of my head. It's ripe, very, very good space, very, very easy for me to fall into that kind of, that speech pattern, that speech pattern. So good opportunity to record and listen to myself afterwards, and also become just incorporated in being more and more aware of of those speech patterns. Number four is for a couple of videos. I'm not quite sure how I feel about this one. Is to replace the how do we put it? The in natural speech you have pauses, which are representative in writing of a period or a comma. And the thought is to, instead of putting your or your on there, is to consciously imagine, and actually maybe even say out loud, period at the end of a sentence, period. To 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 try and replace the verbiage, the vocal white noise that you've been putting in there, period. I don't know how I feel about that. That seems very odd, period. Awkward, comma, bizarre, comma, and lame, period. I don't know if that's going to. I don't know if that is going to work for me. I'll think about that one. It seems very odd. Number 5 is take a pause and a breath, but don't make your breath so loud that it's a sigh. So it sounds like you're going at the end of every sentence, but just natural breaths. So taking a pause is not a bad thing. Taking a pause and a breath, helps you be able to have the oxygen. I wonder if there's something about making that noise that is also it's a kind of a soothing, relaxing thing, but trying to make it a quiet thing is a thought. Number 6, make a list of filler words. This I think will be greatly facilitated by me listening to my recordings. The phrases and saying thing, I think are good examples of that. But I'm sure there are tons more. Who knows? I'll play back this video. I'm gonna have to start listening to myself. I will listen to myself. I maybe don't have to watch myself, but I'll listen to these videos, and I probably will come up with a ton of filler words. Number 7 is an bell, which would be getting other members of your circle to come or be there with a bell and hit the bell every time you made one of these vocal stutters. I'm not going to ask. Ja is the only one around that I would be doing that with, and I'm not going to do that with her. See, these pauses are finding hard, but I think it's a good thing to get used to, and to just getting comfortable with the silence. I can see is going to be an invaluable thing, and it probably will relax me a little bit. And probably the more relaxed and comfortable I am, the easier I will be to listen to. Number 8 is break sentences into chunks, then take a natural pause there. So this is organizing your thoughts into start trying to organize yourself into, here is a complete thought, and then take a pause take that breath at the end of it. So you're giving your speech a natural rhythm to it, and that is where you take your breaths, but you're forming a different habit versus, and you're not trying to, so you've got your full thought, you deliver your full thought, you don't get like halfway through, get lost, start doing your word, and then continue your thought. It's like try and deliver your entire thought, then take your pause, take your breath. All right. Number 9 is make eye contact, which I guess for me is making camera contact. I often wonder. At the very beginning of making videos, I had a little sign, I had a little clip that I put over the camera lens there. So the camera lens there. So I would direct my eyes to it. That probably fostered much more in the way of eye contact. This is probably something that people who have dedicated use cameras, they're just looking in the camera. They're not looking in the monitor screen, because I look over here because I can see my face talking back to me. Whereas, I don't know, it might be worthwhile for me to do that again, where I cover up this and I'm just looking at my lens and talking to that instead of talking kind of off that way. That's actually not a bad thought. That's not a bad thought. Here, let me show you what I mean. All right. There. Actually, this might be very effective. I've just kind of covered the screen so that the only thing that is visible is the camera lens. So this is more of a presentation thing. I don't know if this has particularly to do with eye contact, but that's a thought. That's a thought. You can see when I get a slightly bit distracted, I slip back into it. So it's going to be a process to build up the habit of speaking fluidly without ums and ahs. Let's move on to number 9. No, we did number 9. Let's move on to number 10. Number 10 is to take a moment to calm myself down. Sorry, I'm looking past it at what it says. It's taking a moment to calm yourself before you start speaking. It's funny, I'm finding this very stressful at the moment, probably because it's making me think about how I talk, which is it's not a bad thing. And I should keep in mind that I won't be this self-conscious always. This is just because this is the learning stage. And it's natural in the learning stage to feel awkward and to feel tight and stuff like that. But I can feel this is a good teaching thing. So, but there's funny. It's take a pause and take a breath, but there's also just taking a moment to calm yourself and to actually kind of look at that of pauses and a breath within the video is also a way of calming myself and trying to take those pauses and breaths at the end of a full thought versus in the middle of it. All right. I'm still going to laugh nervously. That's just my thing. Number 11, hands out gestures, which I'm sort of cheating because as I was looking at number 10, I happened to look down at number 11, which is yes. Use your hands, do gestures versus like I'm like this kind of hunched over. It's like, okay, no, I'm trying to relax and be expressive, engaging. Even if I'm, take a breath. Yeah. It's good that I'm in the very early stages of this. Obviously, this is video number 1, and I'm in the early stages of noticing my vocal tics, and it's good. It's really awesome that I'm actually noticing them. So I'll take comfort in that. This is growth. I feel a little panicked at the moment, but I'm in a safe space. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be difficult, but I will get through it, and it'll make me a better YouTuber, a better booktuber, better at better at expressing myself, which is I think is a worthy goal in of itself. So yes, let's get back to the list. Number 11 was hands out, make gestures, just to it's more expressive, it's more engaging. Uh, eh, take my breaths. Don't beat myself up. See, this is the thing. I think the thing that's enticed me about video has been the idea that I don't engage the inner editor. A part of this is going to be engaging the inner editor. I'm going to notice things about my speech, and I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with that in a positive way. And hopefully this is a positive way. Let's go on to number 12. Number 12, short sentences. This is partially for better communication with other people, that video live speaking is something where short sentences are probably what the viewer is going to be able to take in better, and it's also where you're going to be able to have those short chunks that you can deliver, take a pause, and then continue on with your thought without falling into the verbal tics. Yeah. So short sentences. It's probably not a difficult thing for me. So that's number 12. Number 13, cut out hedge words. This is more of a, I wonder if this is a little bit more of a kind of a business thing where you are trying to sound more forceful, more confident. I don't know if I want to be more confident. That might not be me. That might be putting on bravado. I'll take that under consideration. It may be that hedge words are another vocal stutter on my part, just to examine my videos, my reviews, and see whether I'm using hedge words as vocal stutter. Things like probably, maybe, sort of, kind of. I can say I can do I do a head tilt up, and I immediately, like, I'm breaking eye contact, and I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think away from the thing. So there is a thing about eye contact, even with the camera. If I'm looking into the camera, I don't know if I'm going to do I would do as much in the way of Oz, which is interesting. Which is an interesting thought. So going back to number 12, those hedge words, I will take a look and see if the hedge words are filler for me, and compile them along with the other more traditional vocal stutters that I have in my speech. Sorry, the list is now securely behind the camera. Yes. Number 14 is prep. Being this is where you, I don't know if it's scripting as so much as it has to be like a script that you're reading from, as much as have these bullet points, so you know these are the thoughts that I want to deliver on this book. So you don't have that searching for stuff, because you just kind of hit your bullet points, deliver that thought, broken down into into sub thoughts, into sub sentences like that. That's not a bad thing, and but also giving myself freedom to go off on tangents and to take a look at that afterwards and say, oh, here I went off on a tangent, and suddenly my speech got much more broken down, hesitant, choppy. That's something interesting to look at. I think that might be all of them. Oh, wait a minute. And yes, number 15, which uh, number 15, which the presenter, I think, put down as you're your own worst critic, which I transcribed as no one cares, but no one really cares but you. In that, I'm going to obviously put my speech under a microscope for the next little bit and try and develop new habits, but I should keep in mind that the casual, much kinder viewers than that the one that I'm talking about, who I actually I'm not going to thank them, but I'm using it as a useful goad. They are not. I did the head tilt up. I can feel that head tilt. That's interesting. That's an interesting physiological thing. Of I do that head tilt up, and but most people aren't going to are they're casual viewers. They're going to click on, watch my video, click off again, and they probably will not think about my speech. I mean, they may go, "Oh boy, he's really an and R," but it'll be like about a 2-second thought, and then they'll click away to the next video. That it's not going to be something that they're dwelling on. This is something that taking that pause. This is something that is of central concern to me and nobody else. All right. Well, this has been an interesting and uncomfortable little session here, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I'm doing it. So this is my first video. I will go back and listen to myself, and the thought is to perhaps just to give myself a report then going forward. How about let's say we'll meet again this time next week on Saturday and do another video and report how it's been going, my successes, my places where I can improve. See if I've gotten comfortable with silence by then. More videos later.